So I want to start with the offensive class, and I want to start with quarterback because I feel there's two reasons for that. Number one is, as we've said a million times, quarterback is a very important position, and we got some super chats we'll get to here in a little bit, but I want to kind of dive into this first. Quarterback is a very important position when it comes to, can you win a championship? We've talked about this a million times. Teams that win championships tend to have pretty good quarterback play. Notre Dame has not had championship caliber quarterback play for much of the last 12 years. There's been spots here and there, but it's never been to the level that I think you need to be consistently to win big games, to compete for championships. So what you looked for in this class was part need and then part, the quality of the player. I think Steve Angeli is a good, solid football player. I think he does some good things. I wrote in my grades at irishbreakdown.com, I wrote that Steve Angeli to me is kind of like a Sean Clifford, Jack Cohn type of player. I think he's probably more Sean Clifford than he is Jack Cohn. I don't think he's as accurate as Jack is on intermediate type of things. I don't think that he is quite as decisive as I think Jack was coming out of high school, but there's a lot of similarities. I think the Clifford similarity works a lot better. It's much more similar arm strength wise and athleticism wise. And that's a good football player, but I don't know if it's a football player that's going to win you a championship. I think the other reason I gave it a C+ grade, I should start with that. My grade was a C+. The other reason I think it's a C+ grade is because I think the case could be made that you did need a second quarterback in this class. Now, if they go out and get a quarterback on the transfer portal, and again, when I say quarterback on the transfer portal, I'm not talking about somebody come in and compete with Tyler Buckner. I think in Drew Pine, I think it's time to let those kids battle it out. Let them compete for the job. But I do think there's a depth needed, and I don't know if Ron Paulus the third is that guy. So I do think there's a need to secure the depth chart, and they were not able to do that with the walk-on situation because the potential baseball player / football walk-on that they were looking at, Jack Lausch, who was committed to Notre Dame baseball, just signed with Northwestern for football. So that didn't work out because that would have helped alleviate that depth need. And so I gave it a C+ because I think Steve Angeli is a good football player. I think Steve has got good size. He's got real nice accuracy on the 5 to 10. I think he's got a real nice release. I think he makes a lot of plays. He's not a great athlete. He's a chain mover, but he's got real nice pocket mobility. I love his mechanics with the play action game. I think his ball fakes are really good. He tends to be better out of the shotgun than he is under center, breaking down his film at Bergen Catholic. But he doesn't have a great arm down the field. And the further down the field he throws, the worse his ball placement gets. And that's sort of always true, but I mean, it's a noticeable jump. It's not your typical thing. And he can put some good zip on the ball up to 25, 30 yards. He doesn't throw a great deep ball. It's got to be a lot of touch. But he throws high a lot when he throws over the middle down the field. That concerns me a little bit because that gets into the INT zone. But I've never liked his ball placement. That's probably my biggest knock on him. Is I just don't love his ball placement beyond like 7 to 10 yards. And well, ball placement is true accuracy, right? And that means, and that's what made Jimmy Clausen so great. It wasn't that it was the 68% completion percentage. It was the fact he could just put the ball wherever he wanted. If it means low and away, you put it low and away. If it means you got to put it on the back hip, you put it on the back hip. If it means you got to throw it on his ear, you throw it on his ear. Accuracy is just that's what accuracy is to me. Completion percentage is how many balls get caught. I mean, you could have a lot of easy throws. You could have receivers making acrobatic plays. You could have guys coming wide open. It doesn't necessarily dictate how accurate you really are as a quarterback. And so to me, when I watch Steve Angeli, he doesn't have great ball placement to me. And in this offense, I think ball placement is even more important than in some of the air raid offenses where you're really scheming guys up. I mean, you've got to have pretty good ball placement in this offense. I think that's something that has, at times has hurt Jack Cohn on down the field stuff, is his ball placement down the field has not been as good. And that's something that has hurt Steve Angeli in high school as well. So quarterback is C+, and C+ refers to the standard being, is this going to help you win a championship? That's where these grades come from. It's not compared to past years. What's the grade relative to what is needed to win a championship? So quarterback is going to be a C+. And when we get done with this portion of the show, and we're going to go through some comments. I'd be curious to hear from all of you how you view the grades. And I think that'll that'll be kind of fun. And at the end we'll put some of those up there. I think that'll be fun. So I'm curious to see what you guys are. I see Kenny Moore's got one in there. And what I'd like for you to do is, just throw the grade, but then just real quick, just kind of tell me why, that's the case. Running